the three, when someone gets foreclosed on, why it's a win, it's a lose for everybody, but if they stay in the house, it's a win for everybody. It's a win for the bank because they don't have to take that loss.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to take, if you remember in 07 and 08 when people were stopped paying their payment, they were out in 6 months, out.
Mm-hmm.
And then 09 came, April 09. They changed the accounting rules to allow them to use the future value. That's the only way they could have kept the bank solvent. Only possible way, because there's not enough money. There was not enough money to mark.
Foreclose on everyone.
Yeah, and there wasn't enough money to mark the true value of the assets.
Yeah,
it's the only thing they could have done. So with that in mind, now the only time they got to take a loss is if it's sold. Well, in the beginning, they were still foreclosed on the people, but they weren't selling the house. So now the public and the government officials are, why do you have all these vacant homes? Uh-oh. Okay, we'll fix this. Sell those homes, and now we're going to work on all these government programs, and it allows people to stay in their houses longer. It helps the banks because they don't have to take a loss. And for example, if a house is $300,000, and in Vegas now it's $100,000, instead of having it at $100,000, they can put it at $300,000. Now, if they sold that house, they would have to take a $200,000 loss. Now they have to raise that $200,000. If they keep it on their books, it's what, maybe a carrying cost of $500 a month for them tops? That's far less than having to raise $200,000. And that's maybe, what, 60 grand over a 5-year period, or pay $200,000 right now. Well, of course take the 60 grand. Plus the government's giving you 0.025. So there's no advantage for the bank to foreclose on that person.
Once again, don't go through the loan modification program. That's not the way to go. The bank ain't doing you any favor by putting you through this. I also want to say a couple other things in the state of Nevada here. I'll tell you, I've been living here, and a foreign national came down, living here in state of Nevada, and I gotta say, it appalls me that the entire election process here is all about negative ads. I've seen probably 50 ads from Angle, 50 ads from Harry Reid, and they're all the same thing. They attack one another, and there's never any discussion on their own personal credentials. And I gotta tell you, it's tiring. You're probably tired of seeing it. And it would be nice if we actually saw why we should vote for these people as opposed to why we shouldn't vote for the other people. I just wanted to get that in.
I agree. I agree. I think
people are tired.
I have not seen one candidate say, this is how we're going to fix this. This is how we're going to take Nevada off the top unemployment in the country.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to take Nevada off the top list for foreclosures in the country. This is how we're going to take Nevada off top bankruptcies in the country. This is how we're going to take Nevada up from being the lowest school district in the country.
We need a guy like that to run.
This is what we need. Not, oh, this person wants, this person did this person did this. I don't care about the past, neither does anybody else. Whatever happened to the future? The future is now, and none of these candidates are doing anything to plan for the future, and that's why we're in the mess we are today, because they worried about the now and the past. What are they going to do for the future? That's the only way Nevada's going to come back, and it's going to take, obviously, the citizens to do the politician's job for them, because we don't have any politicians in there right now that are doing a well enough job to take Nevada back to the top.
And you know, here's another thing I want to go on record is saying, this is a nonpartisan discussion.
Right.
This is a nonpartisan discussion. We are actually having a lively conversation, talking about politicians, talking about what's wrong, and we're nonpartisan about it. Fox TV, make note of this.
And there's not one politician that could agree with what we just said. There's not one politician that could disagree with what we just said.
Look,
they'll agree. We would get a 100% vote in the Senate, 100% vote in Congress. Oh yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
But what do they do to change it? Nothing.
Now, let's just talk and finish up here, Steve, with a couple of quick things. What are some suggestions? And you'll have some, I'll have a couple, we'll finish off this way. What are some suggestions that people can do right now that are feeling the pressure of the economy, the pressure of what's going on right now with mortgages? Their houses are underwater. Let's give them a little bit of guidance on what they should do. First of all, don't get bullied.
Right.
Number one, don't get bullied.
Well, now it's just a matter of common sense. I mean, it's common sense. Yeah, I mean, if you're worried about the bank going after you, a deficiency judgment, it's real simple. There's only one way you can stop the bank from going after you, for sure. Pay your mortgage. That's it. That's the only way you can 100% for sure know that they're not going to do efficiency judgment.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't work for you, if your home is, if you owe 500 and the home is worth 150 or 200, the chances of it coming back to 500 in the next 10, 15 years is probably not very good. But even if it does, if you would have purchased a home 2 or 3 years from now at the current price, and it goes back to that price, that's money you would have made.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of breaking even. Plus, your payment, you're not going to be able to take advantage of these low rates, and you're going to be stuck in that house for life, really for life.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back to the loan modifications. If they're not going to reduce the principal forever, then you just became a lifetime renter. A modification is a lifetime renter.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it might be good for some people, and some people don't care about that. But from a financial standpoint, you're a lifetime renter, and you're never going to be able to purchase anything because your debt ratios are going to be off. So you're going to be stuck in that house for life unless they reduce the principal. That's it. Yeah. And it goes back to the reason why the government is pretty much promoting this. No payment. I mean, the average person right now in Nevada, if you stop paying your mortgage, you're probably going to be in that house for 3 years. Like you said, that's money going in the economy. There's 125,000 people approximately in Las Vegas and Henderson right now not paying the mortgage. So if you take, let's just say 1,000, we'll do 100,000 and $1,000 a month going to a payment, either house payment or rent, and that's conservative. 1,000 times 100,000 is 100 million. That's $100 million going into our local economy right now that should be going to housing. So
Exactly.
over 1 year, that's $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
Now take that number nationwide. There's 7 million people not making their mortgage.
Yeah.
They can't foreclose on these people because it will take all that money out of the economy. The economy right now is struggling. And that's with all this stimulus money, the secret stimulus. The secret stimulus is these homeowners that should be paying their mortgage or rent, but don't have to because they're allowed to stay in their houses for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is the fact and reality.
Yeah.
And we have to realize that. And back to strategic default, the question is, well, before people were looking at it as an ethical or moral issue. And that's fine. But now, when they see their neighbor in their house for 2 years not making a payment, and then they see the other neighbor down the street that paid half for that house what they owe, they start thinking, wait a minute, I'm ethical, I'm honest, and I'm moral, but don't make a fool out of me.
Don't make a fool out of me. Look at how the banks have conducted themselves.
You can go down the street and this person got a principal reduction, this person got a loan mod, this person got nothing. There's no uniformity. Well, if one person gets a loan modification with a principal reduction, not a loan modification, a principal reduction.
Yeah.
If someone gets a principal reduction and anyone on that block hears about it, guess what? They're going to call their bank for a principal reduction. If they don't get it, that's it. They're not paying. And that's what we're starting to see.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little more macro. We talked a lot about real estate. For all the Americans out there, which is the majority of our audience, keep in mind that, first of all, we're seeing a huge decline in the U.S. dollar. We're seeing a big decline in the U.S. dollar because it makes U.S. exports much cheaper. By having U.S. exports much cheaper, it helps GDP growth. The big concern that's happening right now around the world, though, is all the emerging nations are starting to see an impact on their own economy. And they're starting to say, well, our goods are becoming more expensive in U.S. dollars. As a result, we have to start looking at maybe doing something to bring our currency down. If we get into an international currency war, we're in big trouble. That could be this thing that blindsides right now the world economy. The final thing is, not only is Steve going to be talking about short sales and the American real estate market with a focus on Las Vegas, but I'm also going to be one of the guest speakers as well at the next Las Vegas Real Estate Club meeting on November 9th, Orleans Hotel at 7 p.m. I hope to see you all out there. It was absolutely wonderful interviewing you tonight,
Michael.
Steve. We had a great and lively conversation. Non-partisan at that. Good night, everyone.